Hi, I'm Ben, and thanks for tuning into the Beyond Blue program. I'll be hanging with you guys a bit for the next 10 weeks or so. A lot of you would have already done the first Beyond Blue Year 8 program last year. We got a lot of good response from students and from teachers, and we reckon you'll get even more out of what we got lined up for you this year. Now, I know it's a busy time for you guys with all the stuff that you've got happening. Dealing with teachers and family, getting in some sport, hanging with friends, getting a job or getting dates, even going out more and getting a little more independence. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. There's also a lot of ordinary stuff, I'm sure, like pressures of schoolwork, exams, even just hassles with friends and folks. So we're going to take a closer look at some of these things, and I promise it's not going to be a drag. I think we'll have a bit of fun and might even learn some useful stuff too. Now, you might be doing all right and think you don't need a program that helps you get on better with others because you already do that well. Well, that's great. Maybe you could help share some of that stuff that you do well with the others. It's always good to look at things from different ways and from different perspectives, because while you might not need this stuff right now, it might be useful to keep it up here for later on. That's what we'll be looking at in this program. What relationships are, what they mean to us, how they work, and how to make them work better. Relationships are pretty much important no matter what age we are. If you need proof of how important relationships are, check these guys. This is raw metal, a bunch of guys who are really making a name for themselves doing what they enjoy. But they have to spend a lot of time together, rehearsing, working, playing, travelling. So how they understand each other is really important. Because if, when they're working, one of them is out of step, it can put them all out. So even when they're just hanging together, they still need to know how to get along.
In our group, we spend a lot of time together, and I consider these guys my best friends because we do work together, so we have pressures of work. We also socialise together, so we sort of see each other in lots of different lights, I guess, and being able to be totally comfortable in all those aspects is really important, and it helps us to be really strong as a group so that we can take ourselves through any problems that might come up.
I think there's a huge difference in trying to achieve your goals on your own as opposed to with a group like this, or any group in general. Everyone has, the roller coaster of life, and at times you're up and you're really high and you're motivated and you're striving hard to achieve your goal. But when you're on your own, as soon as that goes, the goal kind of goes with it. Whereas with all of these guys here, we've got times when there'll be a few of us that are really motivated, and then maybe a couple of us are a bit down, but the other guys will then pull you up and get you back on the right track.
When I was in the lower grades at high school, I can remember getting picked on by the kids in higher grades and that sort of thing. But I can remember thinking, because they'd pick on me for dancing, they'd, I'd never done ballet in my life, and they'd go ballet boy, whatever. So I can remember, thinking to myself that it never really mattered though, because I enjoyed dancing so much.
Afternoon sport practice would clash with dance rehearsal or whatever it was. And I found it pretty difficult at the time to keep motivated about dancing when so many of my mates were just playing sport every afternoon, doing what they loved. And while I loved them both, when all your mates are really into something, I guess it's harder to stick with the other thing, you sort of follow along what your mates are into, especially if they're really close mates and stuff like that. There's a few awkward incidents where I had to actually leave a sporting venue to go to a dance rehearsal or something like that, and I guess the guys didn't think that was the coolest thing to do, but
I found that I couldn't even walk through this certain part of the school without getting either pushed or yelled at or anything like that, and when you're in year 8 and 9, that's really intimidating, because you don't know anyone that's older than you that can protect you or whatever, and I was a short ass, so I was like 5'0" at that stage. I was a gun though, but so that was really intimidating.